Good evening, everyone. We'll be starting with the session now. Before we move ahead with the session, I'll introduce the two panelists we have. So we have two alums. We have Pragati ma'am, who graduated from BITS in 2012, and she has worked in multiple core electronics companies and is currently the senior lead engineer at Qualcomm. And we also have we also have with us Ritesh sir, who graduated from BITS in 2015 and has worked with multiple software companies, including Amazon. He has been the chief technical officers for multiple startups, and is also the current consultant CTO for a startup. So these are your panelists, and they'll be taking the resume building session. So on to you, sir.
Hey guys, hi Pragati, hi Ishan. Been a while I have caught up with these people, so good to see you all. I wish it was this would be in person, but it is still fun to know that there are how many like 231 victims on the call and like 46. Wow, fun. The last I think I was in a room with so many victims was when I was on the other side of the fence. So we'll start. Guys, Pragati and I will do parts of the session. I will do it for the IT stuff, and Pragati will do it for electronics people. Parts of it should be common, and we both have our own experience and also work in different sectors. So we'll probably both bring our own nuances to it. Um, See whatever value you get from either side. In the end, if you have any questions, we'll try to address them together. And this thumbs up, I don't know why this comes on the screen. This is something that actually just has to ignore. Okay. We'll start. Pragati, do you want to say anything or should I start?
You can go ahead, Ritesh. I think.
Okay. Cool. Hello, guys. So, topic for today is how do we make good resumes? We'll try our best to make this a little fun and engaging, but it will require your participation. Okay. Since I'll be doing the first part, I'll introduce myself. I was in Pilani campus from 2010 to 15. I had the branches of MSc Mathematics and Electronics and Instrumentation. I started my career by working in a couple of startups, then moved to Amazon, stayed there for 5 years, then moved back to startups, was with a startup for 3 years. And then now I currently do my own tech consulting. So I'm currently filling in as CTO for a startup, and I've advised a few tech startups in that journey. Um, the interesting part that I found in my journey was that I did not come from a computer science background. I did not have the best grades either, and I could still do reasonably well in a tech career. So, and I'm saying all this to tell you that it is doable, irrespective of what branch, what GPA you come from. You can build tech, fortunately, happens to be the sector right now where it is easy to build a career. Easy as in it depends on your skill set more than your degree or more than your GPA or anything. Okay. Um, so I will need a little bit of support from you. If you can get a paper and a pen, I want to make this such that you can do certain things along as we do, as we move forward, and we can do it together. Okay. And if you,
Before we continue, Ritesh, sorry to interrupt you.
yeah,
I see that both of our screens and the slide is pinned. It's making the slide really small. Should we, I don't know, is there any way to make the slide bigger or should we just unpin? Yeah, I think this works.
Ma'am, hope
Yeah.
this is fine, right? Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Ishan, I have one requirement from everybody. Nobody
So,
addresses me by sir. You call
okay.
me by my name, or we pause till the time you till the point you call me by my name. No, sir.
Okay, Ritesh. Yeah.
Same here, please.
Okay, sure, sure.
Yes, Rishabh, you have raised the hand. No? Okay. We will move forward. Possibly get a paper pen along. That will make your life easier. First activity. I want everybody to just close your eyes. Okay, for a moment. Step two, want everybody to smile. I can't see you all, and that's better because you don't have to be awkward about it. And silently, all of you to say that I can do it. The placement season is a stressful time. Everybody has worked hard. I don't know if I consider it for the students, but yeah, 4 years is still a long time, and this is the stressful part of your entire journey. But we'll get through, and there's fun on the other side. Okay, take a moment to just tell yourself that you can do it. Okay, moving forward from here. Now, what we'll try to do in this session is cover nuances that we think are not obvious. Whatever we have learned from our experience of working in different companies, looking at other people's resumes, helping friends, interviewing other people, whatever. We'll try doing all that in. So from my lens, the things I want to cover are how to make the resume relevant, what are the companies looking for, when it comes to the interview, how to use your resume to steer the interview in the direction that you want, how not to appear fake. There's a bigger problem than you think. And how to build a good resume even if you think you wasted all your time, because this is where I found myself when I was in the 4 years. Uh, One thing I want you to remember as a guiding principle for the interviewer, campus interviewing can be a very frustrating job. Okay, you will find interviewers who are fatigued, who have traveled. If they're taking on campus interviews, if they're online, then we're probably doing multiple calls in a day. Um, and sometimes they'll also have their work whose deadlines do not move, even if they have to take interviews. So it can be a frustrating job for the interviewers. So try not to do things in an interview or in a resume that frustrates the interviewers. It will work. So frustrating the interview does not work in your favor. Okay. So this you can use it as an intuitive guiding principle that am I gonna take an action which is gonna make the life of my interviewer more frustrating, and that's not gonna be helpful to you. Okay. So keep things simple wherever possible. You don't have to. You have to avoid the negatives. You'll get through. Um, Step one: how to make your resume relevant. Um, So first, don't make it a dumping ground. Okay, I have seen far too many where people write their entire personal story in the resume, uh, and honestly, how much time do your resume gets a look for? So I've been reviewing resumes for almost 6-7 years now. Um, I can barely give about 30 seconds to a resume. This will be the upper cap. Okay. There are days when I have to, where I end up reviewing like 20 resumes in a day. And there is no way I can give more than like 15, 20, 30 seconds, or like max 1 minute to a resume. And this flood of resumes is going to be more, especially when it comes to campus interviews. So make your resume easy to understand. Okay. Keep projects in. Now, when is your resume going to be used? There are two stages where I think it's going to come in handy. One, it's going to be at the elimination stage, wherein it's decided whether you are allowed to appear for a test or for one of those online exams when it comes to IT companies, um, whether you're going to be allowed to appear for that or not. Okay. So don't by keeping, I don't know how this firecracker thing happens again, like some Apple and Google Meet stuff. Um, Now, so keep projects that are relevant. Do not include everything. I have seen resumes where the temptation is that whatever I have done in my college life, just dump it there. Think if you were the interviewer, what would be the most important thing to you? If you were running a tech company, what kind of skills would you look for? Keep those things in the resume. Don't make it more than one page. I think that will probably be enforced by a placement unit as well. But don't, for sure, don't make it more than one page. When I interview, the things I look for in freshers, there are many skills that you will develop, both hard skills and soft skills on your job. Um, and there are a bunch of soft skills like what is your ownership level? Are you able to learn fast? What kind of decision making qualities do you bring? But when it comes to a fresher, the thing that I have typically found myself and people around me looking for are is does the person bring some relevant experience? Have you done any project which can tell me that you would know something about tech? And two is your ability to learn there, and both will play in balance. If you are somehow able to demonstrate that you are a very fast learner, chances of you being considered for a position become higher. Okay, because a lot of companies that will be coming are startups, and in the early stage, especially in tech startups, things will keep changing very fast. So you need people who can evolve, who can learn fast, who can learn on their own, and having some relevant experience. Otherwise, there's no way to know whether you do well in a tech job or not. Um, Now, small activity. This is where that paper pen I asked you to get is needed. I want you to take a minute and write down the titles of any tech projects that you did while in college. Anything. It can be your PS1, PS2, any SOPs. I don't know if they're still called SOP, study oriented projects we used to have back then. Anything on your own that you build. Just write down the titles. And whoever does this, just give me a thumbs up. There's some raised hand I'm showing this now. I know people are actually doing it. It's fun. Is this? I hope this is just not the placement unit people. But I see lots of thumbs ups. Wow, I'm very humble, guys. Thank you. Okay, enough people have raised hands. We'll consider this done. Now, second, I want you to do is write down whatever words that come to your head when you think of the tech industry. Right? Like example is AI. You all would have heard AI becoming really popular as a keyword um, after especially the launch of ChatGPT and LLMs. Whatever words come to your head, AI, blockchain, just write down and again give me a thumbs up. Yeah, yeah. Data analyst and AI are both of them, both relevant to tech. Robotics, yeah. Deep learning, yeah. Okay, we'll move forward. Reinforcement learning, yeah. We'll come back to whatever you wrote. Now, Uh, second thing I want to cover is how do you steer the interview in the direction that you want? Okay. Now, in your entire resume, first, sorry, I'll come to that. First point, whatever projects you've written, right, under the project headline, just write two or three sentences or bullet points with respect to those projects. No long paragraphs. Nobody writing, I built this application so that they can come to this on first page, this opens, then user clicks, and second page, we go there, and the second page opens the car booking platform. Uh, Try to write it in terms of what are the features of whatever you built, what were the technologies that you chose, any other like one sentence about if it actually has something, some cool impact or any particular thing you want to explain why you chose a certain technology, but nothing more than two or three bullet points. Second is in the entire page of your resume, um, choose four or five important words where you want the attention of the interviewer to go, okay, and make those words bold. Now, when your entire page is not bold and just four or five words are at best bold, the interviewer is gonna look at those words. and you should know everything about whatever you have made bold. And that is the trick to get the interviewer to come to the area that you are strong about. Okay? Everybody is strong in something. Make sure you choose the words to make bold rightly. I have seen people make a lot of stuff bold in the entire resume. What it does is, so why do you make anything bold? To draw attention, right? But if everything is bold, then everything is drawing attention, which means the attention is again distributed in the entire page, which is as good as making nothing bold. So choose very carefully the places in the resume where you want attention to go. And then you get to, and this is the second part where your resume comes in handy after the elimination, which is during the interview. If somebody opens it and they decide to talk about it, their attention goes to the bold words, and then they ask, Acha, oh, you talked about that you use OpenAI API or whatever, you use reinforcement learning in this project. Can you tell me about this? And there you start. The interview starts where you wanted it to start, not wherever the interviewer wanted to start. Okay. And this is not a certainty that it will work, but it increases your probability. Now, activity number two, whatever projects that you wrote, write down 2 to 3 bullet points and find out the word that you will make bold in it. For example, if you built a hotel booking platform as a project in some course or project, where people can talk to a chatbot and they can give highly customized queries for booking a hotel. That I want a hotel which has a sea view, also has a jacuzzi, but also is wheelchair friendly, but is soundproof because I have sleeping difficulties. Right, something like this. Um, One possible way you could write it in just 2 bullet points. And the word I have highlighted in this is OpenAI API and chatbot because it is a buzzword in the industry. And but whatever you make bold will draw attention, so you better be able to talk about it. If not, then choose another word. Like if I don't know anything about, don't know much about artificial intelligence, and I'm very good with Python, I'd probably make Python bold. Okay, so take a couple of minutes and write down a few bullet points. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, I hope guys you were able to find something. Now we'll move to the next part. How not to appear fake, okay? Now, I mentioned in the beginning that this is a bigger problem than you think. Why? This is from my experience as an interviewer. A lot of people want to appear that they know a lot during an interview. And of course, I mean, that's your job, right? To convince the interviewer that you know about the subject so that they hire you. But um, see, you. if a 10th class student comes to you and tells you that they have built the next OpenAI, not that it is not possible, a 10th class student might actually do it, but the likelihood of that happening is very, very low. So the odds of you doing it are very low, and the interviewer knows this. And you know that if you were interviewing a 10th class student. So what's going to end up doing is, if you claim something outrageous in the interview and you have not done that, the interviewer is most probably going to try to find that out. And it really does not go well in the interview. So, as an example, like I had one interview where somebody who had done a 3 month intern somewhere at a company was also applying for a 6 month intern at the place where I was working. And they had mentioned that I was leading a team of 5 people and mentoring juniors. Now you tell me, I mean, what is the chances of that happening? And then in another example, somebody had mentioned that they built an application at scale, and then through their work, they doubled the scale. I asked them what was the scale. They said there was scale. I doubled the scale. No, because I know that the likelihood of you building like crazy scale stuff during an intern is low. So now I want to know the number. So I asked them, what is the number? Give me the exact number. They were getting like 6 requests in a day on the platform that they had built. And doubling of the scale meant that they were now getting 12 requests a day. Now the problem was that this person might be good at DS algo or problem solving, but the trustworthiness score of the person just dropped. And now I don't know whether at the job, if I hire that person, whether they will actually be honest and try to get the work done for the company and for their team, or even if they're not able to get the job done, they'll start lying to people. And trust is one of those very tricky virtues that you need to do a good job at maintaining it. And if you lose it, especially if you just have a 1 hour slot with somebody, if you lose trust during that 1 hour, it does not fare well for you. It probably, I mean, you'll lose the rest of the time as well. So, how not to appear fake? The best advice, honestly, that I can give you is do not fake. Um, be honest about your achievements. Nobody is coming to a college campus expecting somebody to build a chat GPT on their own, right? People are expecting reasonable projects. People are expecting reasonable amount of work failures from a college student. Everybody who's coming to interview you has been through a college. Again, most likely scenario. Um, so they know the mistakes they made in college. They know people do scrappy stuff in college, and it is okay to be honest about it. But if you can be honest about the things that you did and the things that you did not do, but know the things well that you did, it proves that you are one, honest, two, you know something, three, that you can learn stuff. You are able to admit mistakes and you want to grow and learn from it. Okay, so I would say go for honesty, and that will also allow you to not spread your arms too thin. It will allow you to talk confidently about the stuff that you know rather than trying to claim that you know everything, but then in the process, damage your reputation by not knowing the first three questions that the interviewer asks you. This is my best advice. It might sound obvious, but believe me, it goes the other way around far too many times. Um, yeah, one of the ways of judging if you know about what you've written or not is, as a thumb rule, I used to use this for myself. Anything that you've written in the resume, any project, you should be able to speak about it in 30 seconds if asked to describe it in brief, and you should be able to speak about it at length for 10 minutes if needed be. If you cannot speak about something for 5 to 10 minutes, probably you don't know enough about it. And it can be the smallest of things. It does not mean that you can only speak about for 10 minutes about very big projects. Like very simple things, if you just integrated an API somewhere called some weather API to build a weather app that shows given a latitude, longitude, what is the weather. You can speak about that with them. How was the integration? What was the request parameters? What was the response? Like basic things. Um, and and that's a lot of that. Don't write things people don't do in college unless you did them. This I covered. Write what part of the project you built. Like very important. People try to claim credit for the entire group, and then they end up not knowing the details of the rest of the group. So either know the details of everything if you decide to lie, which I don't recommend, or uh, write honestly about this was my part and this rest of the team did, and know your part very well. That'll help you more. Um, Last, um, what if you did not do a lot of tech stuff in college? See, there are still ways. Um, I told you there are two skills that companies are looking for in freshers. One is tech relevance. Second is the ability to learn. And the ability to learn is very valuable. Now, whatever you did about tech on your own, you can put that if you don't have big projects to show. For example, if you're from a computer science background, you might have probably done courses like compiler design. So you would be able to put that in your resume. But if you're from a non-computer science background, then you might not have those courses or SOPs or stuff. But you might have done something. You might have tinkered with something which is relevant to tech. Might have just built a database or some web page. Um, uh, or even if you don't have that, we're trying to appear for tech companies and trying to solve DSA problems. Right? Like put that whatever you learned on your own, wear that as a badge of honor and put that out. That shows that you have the learning ability and you're interested in this stuff. That is why you came forward till the interview as well. You probably cleared some online exam also. Um, if not coding, think areas relevant to coding, which are mathematical, analytical in nature. And I'm very sure that you'll find something because you're from an engineering background. Um, there's a note I've put for myself to tell you guys a story. So I had a friend named Bhisham. He was in Pilani campus. He was in 10 to 15 months. Now what happened was there was about 3 months had passed and Bhisham was not getting a job. Okay. Um, we one day we were sad because some time had passed. So we one day sat and looked at his resume. Um, he had written nothing which was analytical, mathematical in nature, nothing tech. And he was sitting for all tech companies and all data analyst kind of roles, but nothing related to data or maths. He had written that he teaches yoga at some place, he plays basketball, he's a nature lover, nothing relevant to the industry. And we asked him what are the projects he had done. He couldn't think of anything. Then we sat down with him for 2 hours and went through what he did in all his summer vacations. So it turns out he did some training in his third year ka vacations, where they were tinkering with Ubuntu and he had learned about operating systems there. So we could put that as a project. And he used to, there's a website called brilliant.org where you can go and solve math problems. He was rank one on brilliant.org in some geography for a while. And he had missed out all that and written all irrelevant stuff. So we put all that in his resume. And I mean, this is part coincidence and part because of the changes we did. He got a job the next day in PwC. So, and that's what I'm saying. It's part coincidence because also the company came the next day, and Bijam also had some skill. So all of that played a part. But his the resume that he had prepared was really not doing him any favors. It was getting him eliminated from all the companies. He was not getting till the interview only. And the first interview he got into, his skills showed up. He was otherwise fairly talented and he got a job the next day. So keep this in mind if this helps you in any way. Do not drag. Try to find relevant stuff. Um, what else? The resume can get you eliminated and find out where you want to draw attention. Okay. Yeah, guys. This is whatever I wanted to cover. We'll take the questions at the end after Pragati's section. Pragati.
So, Ritesh, I am mindful of the time. It's about 8:33. It might be almost 9 maybe by the time I finish. So, would you like to take about 5 minutes of questions now? Because you have a hard deadline at 9.
I can stretch till about 9:15.
Yeah? Okay. Okay.
Huh.
So, let's continue. Okay, sure. Okay, so going back to pinning me on the screen, I guess. Ishan, could you help? And right now, this is the screen is being shared by you, Ritesh, or Ishan?
It's being shared by me.
Sorry, Ishan, you're sharing?
It's tough.
No, ma'am. Ritesh is sharing.
Ritesh, okay.
I was sharing.
Then let me share. Let me share. Sure. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Okay, so give me a minute. Let me share my screen. Okay, good. Here I don't have to ask. Let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. Okay, great. So, hi everyone. I'm Pragati Singhal, 2008 A3PS 164P. I have about 10 plus years of career in design verification, digital design verification and emulation. I started my career in Cypress Semiconductors, worked for 2 years there in DV verification. Worked for 3 years in Broadcom in emulation. After that, my interest in psychology and education called me to do a 2-year fellowship for Teach for India, which was a great life experience, but I still needed to pay the bills. So I joined back my industry about 5 years back, Qualcomm, where I still am working. Also, I about 2 years back, I started my studies for working for being a coach. So I'm a ICF certified life/career coach right now. Other than I'm in love with books and painting. One interesting fact about me is that my father was also a BITSian from electrical and electronics exactly 30 years before I started, and his elder brother as well. And I also happened to meet someone from BITS. So yeah, I kind of am BITSian by blood. Okay, moving on. Is this? How do I change the slide? Okay. Okay. So Ritesh has covered a lot of amazing, some of the most important points regarding resumes. So I'll just try to cover some of the others. So one of the most important thing, or one of the more important things, is that it's good if your resume is customized to your target company or your target field. For example, so I'm with the examples that I'm using are a bit more biased towards electronics, but then I'm sure that it's equally relevant for everyone. So for example, if you have if you are more if you like more into digital verification or digital design or analog or physical design, so the first step is to know which of them do you like based on the your courses and which are the projects that you enjoyed more. So first step is to have clarity on that. You would have some idea by now. The second is then within your resume, when you're listing down that the tools or I think it's called technical skills in BITSian resume, right? So list those tools first, list those projects first. Okay, maybe as Ritesh said, when you are putting in bold, so put those part in bold more importantly. So the examples that I've given here is probably for digital verification. You can put something like a Verilog project, and if you have done system Verilog, even better. For something like analog, you can put your Spice project or Cadence Virtuoso project if you've done anything. So things like that. Okay. Okay. Now the second category, if you do not have any specific interest, or you don't, not know, you like just give me a job. What you can still do is, you know what the companies are looking for, right? So you can have multiple resumes, where like one is like an analog resume which you'll send to like Texas Instruments, and another is based on the JDs for the other companies. You might even be okay, this is for the non-computer science students. You might still be sitting for the more coding oriented JDs, so have some other resume which is more oriented towards that. So so that things like that are what will catch their eye, right? Okay. The rest of my slides, most of them are also from the English teacher from Teach for India within me. Please forgive me for that. But the thing is that language matters. Okay, so so the point for that is keep it short. Resume making is the art of everything that's on that page should be relevant. It should tell your story, but still should not be a book, right? It has to still be still be interesting enough for that one sentence to actually hold the attention. So the example that I've given here is about a project. Okay, it's describing what I've done in that project, but by the time you finish the sentence, you've forgotten what is it that you wanted to, what is it that she was trying to talk about. Like, this module was the most important connection which had software on one side, switch interns on the other, and was used for transferring blah 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 blah. That's what you read by the end. Instead, if you have something like if you see the second sentence, you feel like reading it. You're like, maybe I'll understand something what she's saying. So it just says this module was a primary connection between software and switch internals used for transferring packets, configuration settings, and switch status. If you actually go through them, you'll see it's the same amount of information. Okay, so that's basically Prezi writing for you. The second thing, be careful with your jargons. So this is a bit more directly related to, for example, your PS1 projects, or if you are doing this after PS2, I don't think you are, but in case you're doing it after PS2, so those projects, because college projects mostly have words which everyone understands. But still, so if you read this, let's say this is from your PS1 project. It says, I've worked on creating TB for CMIC DMA engine connected via PCIe and uses descriptors. So a lot of words sometimes we also try to put in jargons to make it look fancy. Ensure that whatever you are putting in as a jargon is understandable across the industry. So what I'm saying is, how you can change the sentences. I elaborated TB and CMIC. So what I'm saying is, worked on creating the test bench components for CMIC is something that is specific to the project. So hence I'll write, which means specific to the company. Hence I'm going to elaborate it, saying CPU management interface controller. DMA again is understood across the industry, but then depends on you whether you want to elaborate or not. Engine connected via PCI. Now PCI is universal bus, everyone knows, so you don't need to write the full form for that. Okay. One more thing I wanted to put here is, in the first sentence I've written and uses descriptors. It's basically symbolically what I'm saying here is, this is what do you say, company specific information. So if you are writing anything about company projects from your PS1 or PS2, be very careful that you are not giving out any company specific information which is not in the public domain. Be very, very careful of that. Whether the recruiters care about that, that will also show up on how trustworthy you are. Okay. Let me know if I'm going too fast or if I'm making if I'm not making sense or anything. Okay. Again, back to the English lesson. So again, grammar matters. So the example that I usually give about grammar is like formal clothing in a setup, right? It doesn't matter how nice or amazing it is, but it should not be bad enough that it attracts somebody's attention or people notice, right? So for example, I'll just give some examples. You can, obviously the rest of the things are there, but do not mix tenses in the same sentence. So a sentence here, a web application where users can book parking slots and choose from various services and workers. Would anyone like to, figure what is wrong with this, or what can be done better with this? You can probably type it or right. Thank you, Ansh. So I'm sorry, somebody said also, maybe I didn't notice. So yes, so it should be if you're writing can book, you should write choose, right? So which means we use can book parking slots and choose. So don't do any mixing around there. Same thing for your bullet points. Okay. If I'm saying I was the coordinator for blah blah blah, and second sentence I'm saying led 2 teams for chemistry departments. Again, would anyone want to try what is a little, I mean, it's not wrong grammatically, but in a resume, what would look better? I led, right? Okay, 2, correct. 2 instead of writing TWO. Okay. Correct. So the point is, you can either say I was, and then here also I led 2 teams, or keeping it simple, coordinator for this and project lead, whatever. It should be consistent. So this thing, it will not, I mean, it will not consciously, somebody will not reject your resume saying ke isko to English nahi aati hai aise, or this is not wrong in any way. It's just more professional and easier for that subconsciously impacts the recruiter, is what I'll say. It makes it subconsciously look more professional. Okay. One more thing that I wanted to say, I think I put it up in a slide, is it would be better if some of your data is more more specific. For example, instead of saying I have done multiple projects on this, or really increase the data and so case, it would be better if you can be more specific, saying I have done 3 projects, namely whatever. Namely is okay, but I've done 3 projects or doubled the data. But please ensure, like Ritesh's example, don't say I doubled if you have made it from 6 to 12. So but yeah, in general, it looks better if you have specific data. It looks more professional. It's easier for them in the interview. So things like that. Okay, so yeah, that in terms of the tips, again, as I said, I think some of the best ones were covered by Ritesh really amazingly. A big +1 for honesty. Please try not to fake resumes. I know it's a bit it's a difficult time. I remember the first time I made my resume. I remember this deeply empty feeling which was inside me, which made me think, what have I really done in life? Like, somebody's asking me to write my entire life in 1 page, and I'm not able to fill that 1 page, because I'm like, if I have topped in every single class, and then I've been a very sincere, nice student, and I was also in clubs, but I still feel like I don't have anything to write in my resume. So it's a bit of an overwhelming feeling, but don't get, don't stress about it. A lot of amazing tips have already been given. Talk to people around you about your strengths. there, even though at this point some of you might be feeling कि यार मेरे I really don't have any strengths, I don't know what, I have just been a dosa. I don't know if you guys use a dosa or not. We used to call the department of spectators an audience, so basically anybody who was not in any club or department was called a dosa. They themselves used to call themselves a dosa. But yeah, like I haven't been in any departments, I don't know what to write in the positions of responsibility or the awards or blah blah blah. But talk to people around you, sit down and think, as Ritesh gave an amazing example, right? Sit down and actually go through it, with your friends, with your peers, with professionals if possible. And it's not possible that you do not have any strength or have not done anything other than the facts that you already know, right? Or the projects and all are pretty clear, but after that there's definitely something worth writing on your resume. So I think I've already mentioned that I am a career / life coach, certified. So just in case you want to check out my profile, you want to just talk to me, you want my help in looking for your strengths or any other way. It's also a pretty stressful time. So in any way, if you think that I can be of any support, please let me know. Also, Akash and others from the placement committee have my number. But yeah, you will definitely get through this. So, any questions?
Pragati, can I add one thing on your last point?
Yes, please.
So, Pragati said something which I was thinking while I was writing some of the slides, but then I forgot. It's somehow very fascinating that we did the slides on our own, but then we sort of, I think, we covered all the areas which the other person had not covered. So I think we made a good mix. Very fascinating. At the last point which Pragati said, right? So remember, in while she was giving her presentation, I saw at 2 or 3 places she said that Ritesh gave a good example of that. And while I was seeing Pragati's slides, I was constantly, it was hitting me, this is a good point, this is a good point, this is a good point. Okay, so this is what happens, and this is an example of a last point that we often don't see the strengths that we have, and other people feel. Okay, so while I was seeing Pragati's slides, I felt that she had very good slides, and she was saying that I covered some of the good points. So similarly, if you feel that at any point you are short of things to write to, go to a friend and just tell them कि अरे मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है, मैं एकदम बेकार हूँ, मैंने कुछ नहीं किया. I'm sure your friend will tell you कि no, it's it, you are good. I'll tell you, you will remember you did that, and you'll find something. So when you are feeling low, go to a friend. And similarly, after you write a resume, probably get it vetted by a friend that will help you.
Yes, very, very important. Okay, again, thanks, Ritesh. I wanted to add all the stuff that I said, right, in terms of grammar and blah blah blah. So please get your resume proofread each other's resumes, get from multiple people, whoever you think are relevant, not relevant, somebody in the industry, outside, anywhere, like from multiple levels. It will always help. I see your
Guys,
hand
we are
raised.
doing questions. Could you do one thing? Could you, the two people could, if I have to drop off at 9:15 for sure. So if anybody has questions for me, could you bring them up first? And then I'll take them in about 10-15 minutes and then I can drop off. If there are enough for 10-15 minutes, of course.
Yeah, anyone with IT related questions can direct it to
Yeah.
Ritesh.
Yeah. Or anything, anybody specifically wanted to target a question at me, please, if you could do those first, then I'll get to drop off earlier. I have some guests at home.
Hi,
I
sir.
have a question.
Yes, Sonam, you go first. We'll come to everybody.
Right, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Hi, so first of all, thank you, Ritesh and Pragati, for the insightful session, and congratulations to Placement Unit for taking up this amazing initiative. I have a question for Ritesh. So, I am Soham Mehta, and I'm just entering into my sophomore year. and I have been able to crack or get internships that pay me up to 15,000 per month as a social media marketing intern. That is primarily through my LinkedIn. But I
Okay.
wanted to know what is the best way for me moving forward to get that maybe 30 to 50,000, like those very decent paying internships. Like, what would be the best foot forward for me? Because I am also working on a startup and
Hmm.
I wanted to do the internship to get some work experience and also maybe get some like chota mota capital for what I'm doing here. But I did not think that that did justice to the value I added to the company and the fact that I had to give it so much of time. And that is my
Hmm.
first question. The second question is, like I said, I'm
We'll do
doing a
one at a time.
startup.
Wait. Hold on a second question so that I don't forget.
Okay, sure, sure.
So, what you're saying is you did a digital marketing internship. Let me remember what you said. Digital marketing internship that
No,
paid you 15
I
20K.
I got the internship, but I
Uh,
did not go for it as that was taking my time away in during the summer on which I wanted to like work on my startup. And the
okay.
pay,
And
I
now
did
what is
not
the conundrum?
think. Sorry.
And now what is the conundrum?
No, I wanted to know what is the best way I can go, like in terms of scaling up or getting new skills to get maybe 30K, 40K, or
Uh,
like just get the
Sorry
higher
to interrupt.
that thing.
Sorry to interrupt. I can give you the contact of Ritesh so that you can reach out to him later. I would appreciate that if you could keep the session more relevant to resume building because we have a lot of 30 rights and 40 rights, so would want to focus on that if that is fine with Ritesh and Pragati because we might have
Yeah.
questions
So
very relevant to resume if that is fine.
makes sense, Ishan. But since this question has already been raised, I'll address it briefly. For
Yeah,
the
yeah, for
remainder of
sure.
the questions, let's keep it only to the related to the topic of the
Yeah,
session.
yeah, sure, sure,
And
sure.
that is a fair point, and I hope everybody can adhere to that. If you would like to ask any other questions, you can reach out to people separately. We can figure out a way for that. Now, related to those questions, see, so practical answer, the only way to upskill is to work. Okay. If in the beginning you're trying to shoot too many birds with one arrow, it won't work. I'll give you, and Pragati can also add her experience on this. I am, apart from the tech work, I also teach meditation. Now, the meditation work does not pay me. It barely pays me anything. I charge like some 300, 400 bucks for a session. If five people turn up, I get 1500 rupees. Okay. Tech pays me matlab, in multiple orders of magnitude more than that. But it's a new skill I'm learning of teaching people. And the only way to learn how to do that, how to hold a space, how to manage emotions of people, there's something I don't do in my job, right? So, is to actually do that. And if I start hoping for money there and there right now, it won't come. So, my honest experience would say that take the stuff that comes your way, and in the next iteration, after you've learned some things, you will figure out how to pitch yourself for more money, right? Like if you were getting 20K and now you've learned what to do in an internship, you've also learned some practical jargon of the job. What are the things that are actually needed in a company versus in a college? Then the next time you pitch yourself, you can put that filter criteria that I will probably take it for about 30K. But do not try to go theoretical that only if I get certain money, then I'll work. So, or have your priorities straight, right? Then, if you want to work on a startup, then go to the internship thing. It's okay, whatever you decide. But if you think that startup ही करना है, internship भी चाहिए, internship में stipend भी चाहिए, but first internship भी ऐसी, that's wanting too many things in life. You'll pressure yourself. It's not. I'm not saying it's evil or it's wrong. You might get it, but the likelihood is low, and in the process, you might stress yourself out too much. And it's a long game. Career is a very long game. So do it in a way that gives you joy and allows you to learn and progress and grow. Okay, that's the short answer. We can take this discussion up later.
Bhaskara, you can go next.
Yeah, guys. Questions related to resumes.
Yeah, hello, Vaya. Hi, Didi. I just have a question. Recently, when I was applying for I was applying for a club PR position, and they asked me to prepare a resume, and I made a resume using some template which I found in this Overleaf, I think. Yeah, in latex.
Hmm.
But that was a 2-page resume, and wherever I've seen in PS1 or whatever senior I've asked, they are telling me that companies will only accept 1-page resumes, and I'm not
Yes, one
getting how
page.
to compress this into 1-page resume. Like what all subpoints are actually important so that we can keep it in a 1-page resume.
May I come in here?
Yeah, please.
I,
Sure.
as far as I know, I think I also checked with Akash from the placement committee. As far as I know, BITS anyway has a standard resume format, which will force you to put it all into one single page.
Yeah.
So and it's also it puts it down, right, your projects, and so okay, what part is going too much for you, which you think would be difficult for you to put it in one page?
Yeah, because we recently got the link for a superset, I think, and in the superset, they are asking us to make a resume. But whatever points are there in mine, like for example, I have some extracurriculars like scores and all, and in that it is not there. In that there are like separate sections of patents or publications, which we don't have at the moment.
Get rid of those sections.
Yeah,
Then it
yeah.
is then resumes become very small. I'm feeling scared.
No, so I think, see, from what I remember and understand, the BITSian resume, the top half is pretty much standard, which is your education and courses and technical skills, your projects, probably internships. That's also covered in projects, right? The bottom half is what you can change the titles of. Like I had positions of responsibility, I put that. Somebody else's who I think I shared, he had a lot of awards and stuff, so that was written. So things like that. I don't know why patents is written for college students. I don't know if you've already started getting that, but you can totally change it.
Yeah.
We can give you
Yeah,
more.
and is there any number like how many projects should we write there? Like, should we write only the personal projects, or should we write the projects only taken under professors, or both? Like what?
No,
No rules.
Pritesh, you want to take that?
I think no rules, but write down stuff. If I were to see, here's how I would do it. If I were to give you the opportunity to write just one project, what would you write? Okay, write that. Then see if there is space. Then if I give you the opportunity to write just one more, what would you write? When space fills up, stop writing. Write your top things. You will never be short of things. And see, imagine as your career grows, you will have more and more and more things. And my resume is still like 1.5 page, and I'm not very proud of that. I someday want to again sit and trim down that half of that page. Uh, so you could do it. For a long time, I did with a 1-page resume. And my last resume, I wrote it in a hurry. Some recruiter reached out to me and said that you have to give it to me in 2 hours. So I wrote down some crap in 2 hours and give it to them. So you find out the most important thing. If I only give you 4 lines, you would have still given me something, right? Do it that way. And then as space fills up, stop writing.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Bhaiya. Thanks, Didi.
What is going on? Please? Who started Bhaiya, Didi, Sir, Ma'am in BITS? It's illegal. Please, nobody.
I'll just read a
Dekho,
question
next
in the
question
chat
we will
box. So somebody has asked about writing about projects specific to the target position. Do we mention the projects which are relevant to the job, or do we mention more projects so that the resume doesn't look empty? So should we fill the resume or just try to keep it to the job itself, according to the JD?
How many projects have you guys done? So I think the guideline would be do fill up the one page which BITS has given you, which usually accommodates about 2 to 3 projects well. So order them that way. If you have like 5 or 6 projects, then you can cut down and only have the relevant ones. Maybe another thing you can do is have like 3 description lines about the more important project that you're going to highlight, and then about 2 or 1 if you have so many projects about those. So something like that. But yeah.
Could you also elaborate on the ATS score, like applicant tracking score, if so that students have an idea while applying? Like
What?
so now most companies what they do is they have an applicant tracking score. So they take the text from your resume and they map it with the job description, and you get a score out of 100. And that is a way to do resume shortlisting in the recent times. So, how can one actually maximize their resume points so that it matches even more to the JD, so that their chances of the resume shortlisting improves? Uh,
Oh, I haven't seen this. I can check and circle back. Pragati, do you know about this?
Well, I haven't heard, but I think the solution is the same thing that I just said, right? Have it more like, I think if you're submitting individual resumes to different companies, have it more specified. I don't know what the tool is doing. Maybe if this is the need, then you can probably cut down on some of the other extra stuff. And the other thing that even I think somebody else was suggesting to me is probably add or tweak. I mean, if you have any buzzword in your resume, the AI, the ML, and all of that stuff, do add it, or add it, I don't elaborate it or something of that sort. So
See, if I were building a tool like that, I will not look for clubs, positions of responsibility, any of that. If I were to build a tool, there are some tools in the market like Interview, INTERVUE was one of the automated tools we used to use for resume screening at my previous company. I didn't know if it did any of this or not. But if I were to imagine a tool, it would do what Pragati is saying. It would try to map whether the wording you've used in project is relevant to the words that the company is choosing. And companies are going to choose words like, let's say for tech, I mean IT, words like backend, software, API, service, JavaScript, Python. So have AI, have these words. That will help. And for electronics, whatever Pragati will know.
but have it if you've done something about it, please. Going back to Ritesh's last point, be genuine. And one more thing, sorry, just came to my head. When you are customizing, please read the JDs. If there are any JDs, if you don't know the meanings of some words, ask them around, read it, and then you can do that customization. Maybe that will help more.
We have a couple of questions on the chat.
Should I read
we'll
it?
take those. No, we can read. Pragati, you'll take one and take one. How about you?
Okay,
You'll take Sai and I'll take Akshat's question.
okay. So Sai Teja has written, is it worth mentioning that I worked in so-and-so club, considering that the club is relevant to the company that I'm applying for, even if you weren't that active in that club? So clubs serve, I think, two purposes in general. One is they are trying to see if, one is it's usually to show some kind of, leadership skills, or I don't know, coordination skills, team working with the team kind of things is what they are, what in the resume it's used for. And the other thing is, okay, I forgot what the other thing was. It's basically to, the other thing is to start a conversation in your, or a non-tech conversation in your interview, if as and when needed, right? So even if you haven't been active, if you are able to talk about it, and talk about it in relevant way, as Ritesh's guideline, right? 30 seconds to, might not be 10 minutes for a club, but 3 to 4 minutes. In case the interview also has similar interest, he should, or if he or she's a BITSian and really has been active in the club, you should be able to match that vibe. Yeah.
And I think for non-tech roles, no, like if somebody is interviewing for an ops role, these things might come in handy. Next question, Akshat's question. How do we draw the line between describing too much on one of our projects and being too concise? See, 2 to 3 lines, not more than that. Find a word that you can make bold. If the interviewer finds value in it, they'll ask you about it. They'll go into detail. Certain word limit, hard to say. 2 to 3 sentences, like one-line sentences. Akshat, do you have anything to as a follow up on that? Or I'll move. Nope. Next question is for resume reviews. Pragati, I'll take that.
Please go ahead.
Do you manually go through it from top to bottom, or are there specific sections you tend to jump in? See, honestly, I go to projects first. For campus interviews, I have seen people go to the branch, go to the GPA as well. But those are things out of your control. What is in your control is projects, and I just go to the projects and scan if there are relevant keywords or not. And I usually, for campus interviews, reviewing every resume becomes very difficult. So the companies will give some sort of a guideline to the college that give us all students who have, let's say, done relevant courses or GPA cutoff is XYZ. It's unlikely, relatively, that they're going to sit and review every one of your resumes. Um, what is going to most likely happen is that your resume is going to come into the picture during the interview. But yeah, if somebody has to go to the section, if somebody from the company is looking at, they're going to look at the project section. So have the relevant keywords there.
Lohit,
Next.
next. I think, yeah.
Yes.
I'm a second year student and hence I haven't started any sort of project yet. So I wanted to know if interdisciplinary projects enhance one's resume. Example, CS department into a Phoenix project. Does it enhance my resume? I'm sorry, I don't know what a Phoenix project is.
Phoenix is electronics.
Okay.
See, this is the part about jargon. Don't use the jargon. Your interview
So
might
it's a
not
slang
know.
in BITS now. So
Oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
yeah.
old. Okay.
You
Okay,
use
so
old people jargon.
okay, so what one of my friends shared with me is one thing that such a project will do for you is they will see that this person takes initiative, because whatever you're doing within the coursework is anyway compulsory, you have to do and you write about it. So this as a project in some other discipline will show that you took an initiative and then you were if you're able to talk about it, that means you were sincere about it as well. That's one thing, that's one plus of it that I can see, given that you have the time to do it. Yeah, Ritesh, would you like to add anything?
No, all good. Don't complicate. Whatever you feel like, just do it. It's okay. All good. Experiment. In second year, you have a lot of time.
Yeah, but I think, but the more important thing should be learning from that here. So yeah.
I did all sorts of random things. I did humanities, electives, and here there stuff. Some of it came handy, some of it didn't. Some of it I had fun with. It's all good.
I did psychology in my last semester, and see, it's still following me all the way. Yeah, Harshit's question for you, Ritesh.
I am down and need to make a project in a month before sitting for placements. Okay. So AWS web dev, app dev. What should I choose? See, whatever you. Harshit, I will need you to unmute and answer me. Do you know any of these things even a little bit before? Any one of these?
No, I
Are you
haven't.
more comfortable?
I started
Are
with
you
Flutter.
comfortable?
Flutter
You start
app for
Flutter.
Android. Yeah.
You have done it before?
No.
Do
I
you
just
have a head
started.
start when it comes to Flutter or compared to any other thing? No?
I just started a little bit, so I can't say I have a.
See, pick anyone. Give probably one day to all three, and whichever one you find easiest, build something small in that. Don't try to build anything complicated. Even if you build two web pages, but you understand the code that you have written. If let's say you have used a hash map in your code and you know why you used a hash map at that place, that is better than building 10 web pages but not knowing the depth of anything. So
Okay.
build a small project. Nobody expects an intern to go change the world. By an intern, I mean a fresher to like have done revolutionary stuff, but you expect to see some ability to learn. Now, how will you display that? By building a prototype project and knowing what you have built. It shows ability to learn again. It shows depth that you're able to grasp concepts. And both of these things come in very handy.
Okay, thank you.
Doesn't matter which one you choose. Pick anyone. Even if you pick AWS, see, you can't learn all of AWS. Matlab, nobody can claim. Whoever says is lying or doesn't
Huh.
know. So if you pick one small thing, like a storage solution in AWS, and build some sort of service to write files to it, fetch files from it based on some logic, based on a schedule, whatever, and can explain it very well, that's good enough.
Huh.
Pragati, question.
Okay, Kavya's question. I have two questions. Firstly, does past academic achievements like NTSC or Olympiad should be added or must only be limited to only JEE rank BITSAT score? Yes! NTSC and Olympiads are good things. It'll just, show more sincerity. Like, it adds, come on. Your whatever you've done before college is also a big chunk of your life yet, right? If after that's just the only thing, you can't just write about 3 years there. So yes, go ahead. Don't write like as I said or still, right? You can't write like I topped class or something, but NTS and Olympiad are big things. Should we go and look for any CS specific or Ritesh specific questions first? Ritesh, do you see anything?
I have Kavya's question which I want to answer, and
Okay.
then I can take one more question probably. So, if I've explored few fields non-tech, should there be projects or work added to the resume to show that we had explored a few domains? See, if you have sufficient tech work, then eliminate. Don't have. If you have space, add that. If you are appearing for a non-tech company, reduce on the tech and add non-tech stuff. If you have fields which might still show that in relevant fields, okay, the farther you go from computers and software, the more less relevant it becomes. I had a girl who I was interviewing for a front end role for an intern. She had done graphic designing, she had done some photoshopping, she had learned to build web pages, she had learned to like on using JavaScript, and then she had learned to build web pages using WordPress, and then she had done some backend work using Node.js. And after the interview, she asked me that everybody tells her that she spreads her wings too thin and she does too many things in life and she'd probably not be able to do anything. She said that, but I like to learn stuff. Okay. Now, looking at her resume, it actually showed me that she's able to learn things on her own, which is pretty cool because she had only done one front end project. And the reason we ended up hiring her or offering her, she didn't end up joining, but why we offered her was because she had done one project, not very strong profile on the tech side, but the ability to learn coupled with it was a good thing. Now, had she not mentioned all those things and just had 2 3 front end projects, still a strong profile. So doesn't matter. So pick your game, and if it is non-tech, then go for the other things. It's okay. Any IT questions, guys? I can just take like one more. ठीक है, cool.
Could you take
ATS
Harsh's
score checking
question?
tools
I
we
think
don't know.
it's.
Harsh's question?
I think
Harshil's
it's
question?
a bit more. Yeah, it's more specific to interviewer experience.
Okay. For the first 30 seconds in which interview take, does the internship experience like some intern, off-campus placements, post certifications like Udemy considered? So, from a resume shortlisting standpoint, if somebody is looking at it, it would count. From an interview standpoint, not too much. Interview is gonna go more related to your projects. Should I add numbers to all the project, even if it was a personal project, just for ATS scores? For numbers, you mean like output metrics that I achieved so and so. I see. I don't know about the software, but I don't think the software is gonna be that contextual. It's gonna match keywords. So go keywords rather than numbers is what my bet would be. We can check up on this ATS thing and get back to you, but I don't know it. So take it with a grain of salt. You have to search about this ATS thing. Use ChatGPT to find out what how ATS softwares work. Numbers ka, I don't think anybody is expecting you to do crazy things. People are looking at your learning ability. So, yeah, relevant technologies, some projects should be good. Okay, guys. I will get going. Thank you so much. And thank you, placement unit guys. Thank you to everybody who came. And thank you, Pragati. It was fun.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Ritesh.
much. Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you for
Bye
taking
bye.
your time. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Ishan, if there's anything, if you need to
Sure,
circle
sure,
back to me, so let one of you guys let me
sure,
know.
sure. Thanks again.
Bye,
Thank
Pragati.
you
I'll
for
see
the
you
time.
later.
Thanks. Thank you, Ritesh. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so I see we missed Kanav's question because we were trying to catch all the IT ones. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. This is mostly for electronics domain. Do interviews expect fancy projects, or is it okay to have basic projects given that you have in-depth knowledge on that topic? See, everybody who is interviewing you from an electronics company, has been from an electronics background and in an electronics college, other than the HR people, most maybe, right? But even most of them are from electronics, so they know what we do in college. I have been in OLAB. Okay, OLAB was in Pilani. I don't know if it's called something else in Hyderabad, but we all know what we have done. We all know what to expect from students. It's important to to know, if even if it's a basic project, to know about you. It's even projects are to start, like after the resume screening in an interview, they are to start the conversation. um right, so it's important that whatever topic it is that the project is, whether you actually did it that seriously or not, do it now. Read about all those keywords there now, and actually know what are the see what are the main questions around it. Right, so so I think that is important. I hope I answered that question. I was thinking of an example, but it's not coming to the top of my head.
If I may ask, like for example, a lot of like CS courses have an inbuilt assignment in them. So if a student hasn't done any project, like for example, DVMS, OOPS, etc., have a project assigned with them. However, a lot of core electronics courses themselves do not have any projects, and a lot of students might not able to get SOPs, study-oriented projects, or lab-oriented projects under a lot of professors. So, in that circumstance, how can a core student fill some pointers in his resume or her resume so that the employer knows that this person might be willing to learn, but might not have that much knowledge of the same? Or are there any projects that they can search online and put it on their resume that can be relevant to the recruiters from a core electronics perspective?
No online search and put it up. No, I don't know. In principle, I'm really against that. They'll always
Yeah.
know. So you'll always have your PS1 project. I don't know how good they are. I did a really so unrelated one, but still one thing to write. We did put our what do you call MUI microelectronics project. I hope that is. I don't know if something has changed. There was the 80, 85, 86. We had one course. I don't know how much in detail and what it's done. That was one thing. The second thing, and then we had something around. So okay, I took ADVD, that advanced digital and VLS. I think, I hope it's still there. So that gave me
Yes,
one
ma'am.
project, but it is. It was not compulsory, right? But at least the MUI one was compulsory. So I think most of us had at least those 2-3 projects. Other than that, as Ritesh suggested, if you are doing anything on your personal capacity, one other thing that is usually the only place where I suggest you can go a little beyond the honesty point is if you have really helped someone and worked very hard with someone on a project, but it was not your own project, like it was your roommate's project, but you actually guys discussed a lot and you know how to answer the questions. It you may write it. I never told you this here, but you may. Some people do write it. So that is probably the only place where you can toe the line, because that's probably where you'll actually be able to answer the question. I'm audible, right? It says my internet.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, but other than that, putting up random projects, please don't do it. Just say that we didn't have any such thing in the courses, and I can just talk to me about the subjects. I'll answer that. But don't put up random projects. Once that trust line is broken, right, it's very difficult to come back. So again, so put these things. If there is any other if there's in any personal capacity, as Ritesh gave an example, right? In personal capacity, if you've done anything, any even hackathons or something of that sort out of interest, if you can put that up, do that. On Verilog, in digital electronics, that course, if there was something much smaller that you did, you can probably write it in a bit nicer words so that you're still able to talk about it. Please don't take nicer too seriously, like don't write too crazily about it. But those are some examples that I'm just giving, some suggestions.
Yeah, makes sense. Like I'm not from an electronics domain, so
Okay.
I just asked because a lot of people want to get into core now.
If anyone has any follow-up questions on that, you can put it up here. Can go to the other ones. Chaitanya, ATS, I think he answered. We're sorry, we're not aware. Kushi, I'm going to sit for electronics placement, but my PS1 was in IT. So should I keep my work experience column in the resume empty, or should I? Oh my God, no. They know that you've done PS1. My PS1 was in a finance software company in Chennai. Please don't ask me what the project was, but you do write it. Maybe write like one line about it, and whatever small portion you have done there, know that you can say something about it. Minimize it in those ways, but I suggest that do write it anyway, because everyone knows that you must have done some PS1 project, so they'll be looking, they'll be expecting it, is what I think. So do keep it. If possible, have a little bit prepared, like just maybe write down a paragraph in advance to what will you say if somebody asks you about it. If it does go into detail, say that, I don't know, have something prepared, but don't keep it empty. Harshals has already been taken. Altaf, should I mention about a project under publishing process right now? Can share only the abstract and submission page at the moment, or just add it as a project and not mention about publishing? Is it publishing as in publishing a paper? The abstract, the submission, right? Publishing as a paper, where? At what platform? I didn't catch your concern here. IEEE sensors, okay. So is your question regarding your concern regarding confidentiality? Or you are not sure if it'll go through, so you don't want to claim extra? So
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I'm not sure whether it will go through or not, but I want to keep it there because it's relevant. So should I just not skip the entire thing about publishing, or just and mention it as just a project?
no, you can say the same thing, right? That this is under the publishing is in process. So, or whatever the exact terms for that are. So tell them that this is, it's still ongoing. It may or may not go through. If you can use some terms around that to show that it isn't published yet. But yeah, please put it. See, this is like, it's not even a white lie, right? It's the real truth. So why not write it? Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you.
Sriram, as a follow-up on a previously asked question, say I'm applying for an analog role but only have one project in the domain. Should I be adding a few digital projects too just to make sure that my resume doesn't look empty, or should one just keep projects in the resume specific to the target domain? No, yeah, please go ahead and write some digital projects also, which means write the other projects as well. So that is the approximate suggestion that we gave, right? Keep around 2 to 3 projects is a good number. Usually it's something like 3, right? The most relevant at the top. If you have done like 5-6 projects in somehow for some reason, then you can maybe just try cutting. I mean, you can think of cutting off the others if it's not coming within the page. I would. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, let's go for that. Yeah. So, but yeah, write the digital ones also. You don't even know. Yeah, applying for an analog role, yes, but I don't know. What if the person finds you good and thinks that wants to recommend you to somebody else or some other digital CV, digital role in the company or something like that, right? So, or they might want to ask you questions about digital as well. So keep it. I think I have. Okay, what is the growth potential for software engineers in Qualcomm as compared to embedded roles? Oh, Unfortunately, none of my friends are software engineers. So, see, I think we do have we have firmware work. We do have software teams, and in terms of work, if you're asking, I see I think it is just as good. Basically, it's growth potential is basically not just in terms of the work, right? It's also about how the company is doing, how the company treats a certain sector. So software engineers, I think they're just as good opportunity for growth. Just be sure that you're aligned with the JD job description or whatever it is that you're going for, that it's somewhat aligned with your interests. I hope I answered your question. Chaitanya, I recently joined as AI DevOps intern at a company. Now, how should I put it in resume? Because we haven't been assigned with any projects and just the learning period going on. You can mention it probably. You can't put it in the project section, so I'm thinking one option is you can add a separate section called internship, and then write AI DevOps date, whatever, starting June so and so dash something, so they see that you're learning something, so that by the time one is your this looks like an initiative, so it will show as an initiative, and by the time you would have reached the interview, you may have done something, so they can ask you about what are you learning and things like that. Or you can put it below in the more general section, but I suggest you can just put that internship section there. So yeah. This is the same question repeated. Okay, I think we've answered everything here. What else? Anything else, guys?
Anyone else? Any questions? I think we have answered all the questions. Okay.
Do you prefer bullet points or paragraphs to explain the projects? Bullet points, any day bullet points, please. See, recruiters have an even lesser attention span than what you might have, right? As Ritesh said, right? 30 seconds or less. So bullet points are much, much easier to catch your attention. Short, and even if it's a long sentence that you write on the bullet point, put it in smaller smaller, shorter sentences, I suggest. Any day bullet points. Always. Big fan of them. Anything else?
I think we have answered all questions.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to me, guys. Any suggestions for final year students sitting for placements? I think my most important suggestion is there is a lot talked about on the technical aspects of it all, right? The resume writing, the interview. We are so focused on all the preparation part. We forget to think around stress management, which is a big part around especially campus interviews, because there's so much happening within a few days. I've seen and heard of nervous breakdowns and things like, you don't want to be going through that. So um, be mentally prepared, do whatever you can do to be mentally prepared for that. It's not just like, you know, how you have already been through competitive exams, you know that JEE was not the end of the world, the 12th was not an end of the world. It's the same here. You need one job, yes, but it's not the end of the world. I can tell you so many stories of people. You open any random BITSian's LinkedIn profile, okay, and you see uh, people who didn't get a landed job in campus, who landed some other job they totally didn't want, and went for something else. So many stories, but see where they are right now at amazing places. So don't worry, you're already in BITS. You know, it's don't worry. Just figure out ways of what you will do when you fear, when you face, like, God forbid, in case if you face some kind of rejection, know what you'll do. How will you calm yourself down? Have those processes ready, have your support system ready, your friend circle, please don't go around, don't go to the drinkables and things. So look for more calmer ways of calming down. Have I missed anything else came down? Any reliable resources, websites to specifically prepare for interviews, like mock interviews or something? Um, I'm not very good at that. There is one, but I don't know how relevant it is to freshers. There is one book which is more commonly known, very specific to electronics, electronics circuitry. I can, it's by Ram and something. It's literally cracking digital interviews, something of that sort. That book is really good. I'm sure you can find ebooks online and stuff. I can probably, I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact name. I can try to share it with the team and they can share it with you guys. You can just, yeah, sorry. Should I write it down in the chat here? So it's called Cracking Digital VLSI. Okay, sorry, it's verification specific. I didn't realize that. By Ramdas. Okay. Yeah, so sorry, I'm a bit biased, too biased to my field. I just realized I didn't realize it was a verification specific, but yeah, there are some more generic questions in the beginning. Mock interviews and all, sorry guys, I'm not the right resource for that. But I think most of the if you just search around these terms, right, you'll find some of the more common questions. But most of it comes from, again, electronic specific, comes around that ADVD, Digi. Those are where most of the courses are, most of the questions are around. Hold timing, setup timings, blah blah blah. So those are always the go-to ones. So you can, I mean, just whatever coming on the top of my mind, I'm saying that. But yeah, sorry for disappointing you on that question.
I think we have covered all questions. Yeah, we can end the session. thank you so much for your time. I'd also like to, okay, one more question.
Is it necessary to prepare separate resumes for different domains within electronics like RF and analog and digital if it's not there in the JD? It's not necessary really. Like it's again, it's still a tip. You can choose to take it or not take it, and it's not life changing or anything. Just a as you said, right? You have that ATS and all of that. So just probably might make a small difference there. Might not make any difference at all. So yeah, it's not necessary or anything. You can just make one clean resume and pass it on to everyone. You also said if it's not there in the JD, which most of the companies do, they don't specify the JDs very properly sometimes. So yeah, you can go ahead and share the same resume there. No issues.
Cool. Yeah, I think that, yeah. Cool. I
Yeah.
think we can end the session now. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much for your time. I'd also like to thank BITSAA for arranging this session. Thanks again.
Thank you everyone. Thank you for joining, and please let me know if you want to talk about anything at all. Please feel free. I would love to give back to my community. So thank you so much. All the very best. Stay positive.
Thank you.
We'll meet in the industry soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.